How are you? You know, okay? Good for a 20-year-old lady.
Oh, you're kidding me. Good morning. Did you get brunch?
Actually, I didn't do too bad with my hat on.
I like that hat.
Keeps the rain off my face.
Hard to clean them again, isn't it?
Tells you where you park the car.
Oh, really?
So if you come out, you can't remember, it shows you where your car's at. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Especially for where's first?
Yeah. I was reading on Facebook one day, a guy said, you want to mess with people? He said, sit in the parking lot at Walmart, and when they come down the aisle pushing their buttons, he goes, push yours at the same time. He goes, look around circles, trying to figure out where their car is. I thought when I get that bored, I'll try it, but it's not there yet. It's like people moving in and out of that house. Yes. This is the mess again.
Yeah,
Already.
Well, there's just 20-something.
Well, you see a U-Haul truck there, and then all of a sudden, you know, a couple weeks later, or whatever, you'll see another U-Haul truck.
Oh, there's the same U-Haul there.
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Well, I'm gonna get at least a start in on it again, because that place is been a mess ever since the whole thing.
No, I'll have to use that. We're a little short.
Debbie?
Hi.
No, there's no gavel. Oops.
He's getting it.
I can't work. I
Can't work
without my gavel. Yeah. For functionality. I don't know. Hey,
You were hammering.
I think.
The microphones may be a little louder. The iPad really put away. But they'll work, they just may be louder.
You're not like mine. You don't, unless you go to want to go somewhere else.
You want a microphone? You use that to write.
Oh, she's got her January right now, but she's
Yeah.
Sorry. Hello. Yes.
Listening.
Hello. You're gonna what? Hello. Okay. Hello. All right.
I have no way of controlling it. The iPad got put away without being turned off. I'm waiting for it to turn off. Hit the button. Yeah, she is. Oh, okay. Whatever helps to make you remember.
Meeting will now come to order. Before we actually start, I want to say that I am expecting a very important phone call. And you know how doctors are, they will call you when you're in the middle of something. So if I get the call, I will excuse myself and so that I can just find out what I need to find out. Thank you. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for our veterans. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Good morning. Donna Mosier. Here. Ed Weiner.
Here.
Susan Muniak.
Here.
Brenda Owens. Lemaine Eifert.
Here.
Barry Burgess.
Present.
Jennifer Smiley.
Here.
Beverly Hasty.
Proof of notice of meeting, John?
Yes, Beverly, as per your documents.
Disposition of prior meeting minutes. I have a motion. So moved. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Treasurer's report. I have a motion.
I move that we accept the treasurer's report as passed out.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Managers report. John?
Yeah.
You're coming.
How do I sound? Too loud? Too loud? So the landscaping project is completed. Pool deck lighting is completed and we're certified. We're waiting for carpet proposals before we do the billiard tables. And 242 total, 127 new violations and 113 resolved violations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay.
John, you said something about the carpeting in the billiard room. How did that come about?
We talked about it at the previous meeting when we approved the felt on the tables. We said, let's get proposals for the carpet.
Okay, and it absolutely needs it, or is it just that it's more convenient?
So it's probably not absolutely needs it, but it needs it, and it's convenient.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
I think that they had said that the tables would be uneven unless we fixed it. So might as well fix that before they put the bill.
LeMay, we can all depend on what the proposals are. That might affect the decision too, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John. Art committee, Russell.
Russ Rogers, for the Art Committee. We met on Wednesday with all members there except one, and we reviewed 24 submittals, and we recommended approval for all 24.
Lynette.
I make a motion that we accept the art committee report and approve the 24 that are recommended.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
One other item, we're still having problems coming up with new paint sheets The companies aren't putting them out. We're coming up with some, but not many. So we can have them there for the residents to review. You have to go to the, like, Home Depot and look on the wall and pick them off the wall. They're individual.
Okay,
So we're trying.
thank you. Okay, committee reports, but I don't believe we have any. Nobody turned in their committee reports. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. Excuse me.
Liz Goodnow, Mayor Vista, Fines and Suspension Chairman. We held 2 hearings on the 19th of November, and these were approved at the 10-1 OXA board meeting. We 11039 Salt Tree violation lawn and landscaping. Everything has been cleaned up in that place, including the yard. They are right now dealing with the city because it was the city apparently that did the tearing up of the, I think I attached something with an explanation to the report. It was the city that had done it all and they're waiting for the city to correct it. And that we did not enforce on that. 8121 Casarina, violation lawn and landscaping. The shrubs and everything in that has been trimmed. The lawn has improved since we initially looked at it. So we also did not enforce that. We found that there was no violation. And any question on either one of those?
No, I don't have any. Does anyone on the board have a question? You're good.
Okay, well, we also have the 6 residents that you approved at your prior meeting scheduled for 11/9, which is next Tuesday. Thank you.
Finance Committee, Chris?
Chris Dabrowski, Finance. We had no issues, and the meeting is the last Monday of the month at 10 o'clock, which is the 29th.
Thank you, Chris. Having no more committee reports, we'll continue to move along. Unfinished business, the Spectrum proposal. Update on legal review. John, could you?
Which is a short explanation. We got a proposal from Spectrum to provide TV internet services for the entire community. That was forwarded to the council for their opinion, and that opinion was received. And now we're, I guess it's in the board's lap on what the next step would be.
Go ahead, Donna.
Now, you're saying for all the residents, this is just the homes and not the condos, right?
So the Spectrum is giving Toxa 2 options. One option is for all basically 2,000 homeowners. The second option is for all homeowners minus the family sections.
Okay, because I know that we just redid our contract with Spectrum through the condos, and she just reworked. I just talked to our manager about it the other day, and she has reworked another new proposal through them for the condos, and she's already saying that they're not going to switch. So, I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect it.
I know when I asked the question to the representative, because our condo also has a contract, and they said they would offer any of the condos. The condo does not have to pay it. The people would pay it to Toxa instead of to whatever your condo is. And your condo would not have to pay Spectrum.
Okay, obviously, there's a lot of things that have to be worked out before we even consider this. Go ahead, Lynette.
So you're saying the condos would
still go with the $50, but they would go through TAXA with that.
went through theirs with what they get. Now, like ours, I think when we signed the contract, which was 2 or 3 years ago for the 5-year contract,
Right.
we only have 200 speed internet and we get 2 boxes, not HD boxes, but we do not get the DVR service and we do not have a DVR box. And we had the same TV stations that on the 50.
Okay, because I know there was an upgrade to the $50 one that they're offering. My understanding, John, is that everyone must go in with this or no one. They're doing an all or nothing other than the family.
So 2 things. One, Sue, right, they void any existing contracts for the condos and it would be one master contract. Right, it's all or nothing. And the only exception is does TAXA want to take out the family sections because of a vote would be necessary.
And the family section would have to vote with a majority in order to go into it.
Actually, 75%.
75%. Right.
Okay, Donna, you have something else?
Yeah, because I know a month, and the only difference is the DVR, and the DVR is another $20. And a lot of the people in the condos don't really care if they get the DVR or not. So there may be an issue there because they're not wanting to pay the more money for something that they don't really
Internet speed are you
need. They worked it
It's
out.
probably, it was
Probably 200.
in the 400. I'm sorry, mine is very low. At the difference right now that I pay because I have a DVR, because we were in the 30s when we did ours too. The difference I pay to get the DVR box and the DVR service is $15 a month. So for me, it would be, for our condos, it would be a wash. If most people have DVR.
Barry had his hand up first. Go ahead, Barry.
I do not see a problem with getting 75% of Driftwood Village residents to go with it because I'm sure 75% of the residents in there already have internet service. And internet service alone for me right now is like $80. So it would be a bargain at 50.
Barry, I have no problem with the residents, the owners who get to vote. And the way it's worded in our documents, it's 75% of all owners, not just those voting. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to spend the money to go and do a vote of all the family communities and send out even a letter before to all the owners saying, look, this will give you the opportunity if you rent, if you have rental property, you can advertise that it comes with the rental. I mean, I would be for the family doing it, but the documents prevent us from just doing it.
So do you think that more than 25% of the houses in there are rentals?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I mean, and the other is getting everyone to vote.
I guess I'm an optimist in that respect because I can't see why anybody would not want to do that. If it's a problem with the landlords, they just raise the rent by $50 a month. I just hate to be left out of this. I think that I want to do it. It seems to me like anybody in there, and everybody has internet now, why would they not want to do that for $50?
I agree with you.
Question, could they go around and have them sign like a petition kind of thing? They have to come in and vote?
It has to be about the way the documents are worded. It's that we cannot make a change to the method of doing the assessment without a vote of all those affected, and it has to be a 75% or more majority of all votes.
Well, it's still a vote, you're just doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
They have to come in and have a meeting and vote that way.
No, mail ballots,
Mail ballots.
mail ballots.
LeMay?
John, Donna said that their condominiums would not be in favor of this, but if we vote for it, are they required to be a part of it?
So that's a question for the attorney, but the attorney's gonna say Toxa has the power over the sub-associations.
Thank you.
Brenda, did I hear that you had something to say?
Brenda, you have anything?
No. Okay.
comment at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Ian.
Ann Elsinga, 14116. So you're saying if you go with this, you have Spectrum? Okay, I've had my same service for 8 years that I'm very happy with. I have no intentions of switching to Spectrum. And legally, I don't think you can force me to do that. Bonnie Lipsky, San Clemente. Due to the
Come
family
closer to the mic.
Due to the family section, we are in this family section. And I agree with Barry that we should have I know we will go for that.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of my neighbors will go for that.
Yeah.
And we should have the chance, and they, even the ones that are 90-something years old, should have a chance to vote on this.
Right.
And please take it into consideration, because mostly everybody's on a fixed income.
Right.
Thank you.
San Clemente would be included in the vote of the family members.
Right, because it is a family section.
Correct.
She's saying maybe not because
No, I'm saying that I would want to have the vote.
okay,
She would want the vote. She would like you to be included too.
okay, thank you.
Are you in San Clemente or Driftwood?
And Clemente.
Hey, Dale.
Dale Thompson, Hachita Drive. I just got my Spectrum bill yesterday, and I pay 90, it just went up, my DVR box went up a couple of dollars. But I have all the channels that I want plus more. I have the internet and the DVR box for $90. My suggestion would be to have somebody come in here like we did with the same, so we can all hear them and ask questions, because I wouldn't want to say yes to it and then wind up with less than what I have. I would also want to be able to get out of it, like with DirecTV. They just dropped a lot of people's favorite soap channel. They just dropped it. So people are dropping Dish or whatever it is that dropped it. I wouldn't want to sign for this and then have them take away one of my favorite channels down the road, which they can do, and then not be able to get out of it. So I would really rather hear it from the horse's mouth and be able to ask questions and know for sure before we say what we're doing. And for if it's $50 versus 90 for what I have now, of course I would do it.
John, go ahead.
Just some more information. Legal counsel told the board that it's a board decision for all of the community except for the family sections, which would require a vote. It would be a 5-year contract and it would be $50 plus taxes to each homeowner.
And if you want another service, if you want HBO, they bill you separately for that. If you want any
Additional service or upgraded service billed directly to the homeowner.
Okay, Brenda?
I think you just answered my question. I was going to ask if people want a specialty channel like 5 ESPNs or the Big Ten channel or something like that. Is that also part of what they bill separately for?
Yeah.
Okay.
John?
There's also an option if you're under contract with somebody like DirecTV, there's a buyout option for you that's available as well.
Go ahead,
Russell Rogers, Laura Del Rio. Are they going to come in and tell us what channels are going to be made available and with the price for what? If you want to go with another package, they're going to, like some of these packages I have sports in it, and I know some other people that do, but if they don't come in, I don't want it, because I watch a lot of sports.
I believe that's the option that, right now, I think it was the middle channel option that they said was with it. We definitely have to go
Reason.
further with investigating what we have to do and all that. Before we do it, we would ask them to come in and have a meeting for everyone.
Right.
So, we're not going to vote now and say, yeah, we're gonna do it when we don't have all the information.
Spectrum, if you go and ask for something above and beyond, the price goes up.
Right.
So
Yeah,
if that's what they're gonna do, then
well, that's like what I pay for the DVR service, which I do not get with the package. That's all I pay for.
Right.
And that's what they said, like with the other channels. So if there's a sports package, you would be able to pay separately for the sports package. Oh, definitely less than what you're paying now.
I almost doubt it. I almost doubt it, knowing Spectrum.
John?
That's the truth.
So I forget the exact numbers, but for a non-promo period, what you would pay under this contract
$50, the average homeowner
would be paying $180. So every person here in a non-promo period would be saving $130. You could get everything that they offer and still be paying less than what you're getting for the $50 package.
Okay. Can I have okay, Lene?
I just wanted to say that this was taken to the lawyer, and a lot of what he said was, that it was such a great benefit to the residences here that he doesn't see why anyone would not take it. He was highly in favor of this. I know we have a little above the basic, and I'm paying $188 a month. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us that are paying that. Yeah. Right, and Bev pays $100 just for internet, so. You have to go get off of Spectrum, you have to go with someone else. I've called them, they will not do it. This is what they want. Because so many people are dropping cable. They're keeping the internet, dropping cable. It's a big drop for them as far as revenue. They want to be able to show people that they have a 5-year contract with Timber Oaks that is going to pay such and such for the next 5 years. I don't know about you, but I've checked just internet and I'm ready to drop cable only because of the price. Internet is more than $50 a month unless you're on a limited promo. And then it might be $49.99. I know they just offered that, but other than that, you're not going to get it any better than what this is.
And if you're an existing customer, you can't get the $49.99. I tried.
Yep.
Ally Malloy, Gold Pine Drive. Are you going to put a lot of this in writing and actually send a letter out to all the residents with this idea?
We don't know what
So you still have a lot of legwork to do
we
yet?
still have legwork.
Oh, okay, well, that's good to know, because, and then having a meeting like we did before would be productive. For me, it gives a good reason. I just paid the bill without analyzing it, but certainly I do pay over $200 a month. You know, and I show it to my kids and they just shrug, and they do all that streaming and stuff, and I don't even do that. So if there's any savings, certainly sounds like it would be well worth it.
My fear with the town hall meeting, putting in the tower, is that mostly what we get are the negatives. You know, everyone coming to fight against it, and we don't hear anyone who wants it. So my recommendation is, if you are in favor of this and we do have a town meeting, come and express your opinion, because otherwise that's all we're going to hear is negatives.
So, we're gonna table this until the December meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, because we need time to, get our ducks in a row.
We need to consult with Spectrum and with the attorney.
Yeah.
We postpone this until December. That means we don't even vote for the town hall meeting or anything
Oh,
else
okay,
until,
The Wednesday, you're right, I forgot about that.
so maybe we should put this aside for the next meeting and maybe talk a little more and get some more information out there and maybe schedule the town hall meeting or whatever we're going to do.
Thank you. Okay, the county meeting, John?
So, we had a sit-down meeting in the clubhouse about a week ago with the county again. And, we re-explained our concerns about,
Madam President, can you just put the mic down and just speak? Yeah, because this isn't working.
No, it's cutting in and out, John.
So, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So we met with the county. This is not our first meeting. It won't be our last meeting. They're always very responsive. They're always very nice, and they always say, don't call us, we'll call you. So that's kind of where we are now. We gave them all the information again, and the ball's in their court.
Thank you. We'll have to keep on, go ahead, Lemay.
In the meantime, as you're coming up on Ponderosa to the clubhouse, there is an island there that has bushes growing out into the street, and it's hitting trucks and cars as they go by. So in the meantime, who's taking care of that? No one?
So in the island, we're not doing any maintenance on them.
I think we all should call the county and tell them about the, just,
Bougainvillea,
yeah.
That's what it is, and
the
that's got
bougainvillea, yeah.
thorns that will scratch your finish and.
Well, if we all call the county, we might get them to come and trim, if nothing else, trim that one bush.
Right. And when we say all, we don't mean just board members. Everyone needs to call and complain about the islands, no matter where they are.
Jerry, you have something to say?
Yeah, just real quick, just post the number that everybody's supposed to call, and just so that people don't have to take the time to look it up. And this way here, they have no excuses but to call.
Thank you.
Could we not, I think residents might be more vocal and the mayor might be kinder to the residents rather than just the board going there, because we've been with every board and it's always been, oh, just do what you want and et cetera, because it is in our documents to do it, but there's no clarification. So indeed, perhaps if we were to put a petition out just and send it to them and demand a meeting with them explaining why they are not doing it, let them do the legwork, you know, in terms of how that actually happened. As far as I can see, the islands are actually those. They must have built them when they built Ponderosa. And then as I understand it, which was before I came here, they asked for the cement to be a problem. Do we really know, John? Did they say why they won't do it? No explanations? Just right. So this is not new. We've been pushed around for years and years. And sometimes it's better you demand a really meeting with some residents, the board, and their people that are involved. At the last meeting, somebody made the comment that Three Seasons said they could work something out with the county as far as doing the islands. I'm not sure what was meant by that. It was said very casually by someone, oh, well, the Three Seasons said he could talk, he can't do it either without permission, so. But it seems to me we need to be more active in terms of at least getting a petition or making phone calls and having them analyze how this happened and why they're refusing to do it. Otherwise, we're still going to be where we are.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I believe that we should encourage all owners in Timber Oak to call and request that the islands be repaired or removed or whatever it is the county needs to do. But it's not on their schedule. It's not on their, if we have a call-in campaign, maybe they will listen. maybe they'll do something if they understand that it's not just 2 or 3 people complaining, but several hundred.
Thank you. Go ahead, Lynn.
John, when we talked about this, didn't you say, aren't they threatening to remove the islands if no one takes responsibility?
So up until this last meeting, we think they were trying to scare us, right? Their response was, well, if you're not going to maintain them, we'll just, or sign a maintenance agreement to maintain them, we'll just remove them all. And I think they thought that was going to make us take a step back and rethink our position. And so at that board said, good, whatever you got to do, right? So then conversations ceased. That they didn't know how to react to that. So here we are starting the ball rolling again. And it's not, they're very nice talk to, they're responsive, but they're just not saying yes and not saying no to anything. They're saying we'll get back to you. And so my goal as a property manager is there's liability out there. The bush is a problem, the timbers are a problem, there's safety hazards out there. So we every so often it's not that I expect a reaction from them. I just continually put the liability back on their side so that nobody can deny they were made aware that it's their property, it's their maintenance requirement. We're not doing anything to it. Please do your job. So that's kind of where I am unless I get direction to do otherwise.
Go ahead, Patty.
Patricia French Weislich, 7024-13A06. Shortly after I moved in here full-time, which would be sometime after 2004, there was a lengthy article in the newspaper, and it was about the islands in the various communities. And they did put in writing and said, we are not going to maintain islands in places like Timber Oaks and the other ones. And they just, a board decision, and they have kept up with that ever since. And they just said, we're not going to do it. It's our policy. If they're in your neighborhood, you have to take care of them. And I think that's why we'll keep going around and around and around.
Thank you. Anybody else have any? Go ahead.
There's only one thing I have to say about that. We have had no accidents, no liabilities. No one sued because of the islands in how many years? I mean, if push comes to shove, I'd rather that we maintain them than have them falling down and causing more of a hazard at this point. I mean, we've gotten this runaround with the county for how long? They've never said, oh yeah, they're our responsibility. This has been almost, well, like Patty said, since 2004. And in the meantime, they're getting worse. And whether or not it's a liability or not, I don't want to be responsible for someone getting hit with a tree falling down. I think we need to seriously look at just taking over the islands and making sure they're safe and that they look nice. They are part of our community. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
And, Singer 14116. The island issue came up a year ago when I was serving on the board. The attorney told us we are not allowed to spend our money on property that we do not own. This, goes way back to the whole fence issue, So even though some board members are agreeing that we should maintain them, we cannot spend our money on property that we don't own, according to the attorney.
Go ahead, Bill.
There is
Just
another
very
thing.
quickly.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ponderosa was originally a private road. It was when it first was Ponderosa, was originally a private road. After, I don't know who was president, what president or what, had the county take it over. So I imagine at one point, the islands that were there were our responsibility. But once it became a county road, they own the roads. And they own the right of way. So it's their responsibility. I think that if we get everyone calling, that we would have a much better chance of getting at least them trimmed and maybe the ones with the wood taken down. That would be great.
John?
So to speak to what LeMay was saying, so, and the previous boards have discussed this, your documents do give the board the authority to maintain those areas in question. If the county does not, your documents give the board the power to do that. So there were two sides to this conversation previously. Do you force the county's hand or try to force the county's hand, or do you enter in, or do you maintain them? And so my suggestion was, don't maintain them without a maintenance agreement with the county. So both of us were on the table. The county really wanted us to enter into a maintenance agreement. And at the time, the board said, we'd rather not. For various reasons. You know, it's another conversation that we can continue to have. But last year's board said we didn't want to enter into a maintenance agreement and force the county.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ellen.
Just in answer to Ann's comment, our documents do allow us to go on any property now that is not up to our standards of maintaining our property. So as a deed restriction, when we had the committee, we were never allowed to go on property. We had to just do it from the car or whatever, could not go into the backyard. And if houses were abandoned, we weren't allowed to touch those. And our documents do cover that we have every right to go on. If you're not maintaining the property, we can go on there and clean it up. So I don't see why that wouldn't apply to the islands also, and using LeMay, like she said, perhaps taking down the wooden, these abandoned houses by us maintaining them. So neighbors were not affected by that until it went through the courts.
We're talking about the medians now, not the islands, not the houses. But
Oh, I
thank you.
know that, I'm
But
just saying
thank
the
you, Ellen.
document, but it's still a piece of property.
You've already.
That is not belong to us and we have a right to go on it, so why wouldn't that apply to the islands?
Thank you. Dale?
I'm so confused. Okay, first of all, if I'm correct, the way I got the story, and I was trying not to touch this, but I can't help it, was that years ago, yes, it is owned by the county, but when we wanted to put up the fancy cement around some of the county, if we could maintain them. I guess we did, and Patty might be able to help better with this because I think Patty's one of the ones that had told me. We did it for a while, and then all of a sudden, we recently found out that we weren't supposed to be doing it because it's county property. The idea of getting everyone to call up, if you know the people in here as well as I do, you're lucky if you get 20 people to take the time to call. John, this I'm directing at you, since you are still here and we are trying to work things out with you and resource management. I'm trying to figure something out here and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. You just sat there and you said a few things. Resource property management. You are the manager. I'm starting to feel like you can't do anything without the board's approval. And maybe I'm wrong to think that since you are the property manager, it would be up to you to go to the county and say, hey, look, I'm the property manager of Timber.
He has been doing that, Dale.
Notice how when Kelly was here at the last meeting, John spoke up, but now that Kelly's not here, he can't look at me and answer me. I will call her when I leave here.
Just clarification, John, how long have these meetings been going on? This has been going on for a long time. And John continually is calling. It's getting to call him back at these meetings. Yes, and the personnel changes and then you start all over again.
So LeMay, to answer your question, I started here in January of last year and I started reaching out to the county in March.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Kelly. I was gonna say moving right along, but excuse me, Ron is coming up here to say something.
Yeah, Ron Weisig, 7024. You know, it seems to me that those boards, those big boards, were put up by U.S. Homes when they opened up this development it was put up by US Homes, whose property, who's responsible for it? Are we responsible for it? Because actually, if it took over from US Homes, I would think that those wooden partitions around those trees would be our responsibility.
US Homes put them in. In fact, the gentleman that did our landscaping installed those, Anthony. So that's been 40 years ago. But once US Homes left and these roads were deeded over to the county, that became their property.
Yeah, but you know, the roads are something different than that.
They're in the road.
The roads are county roads.
Yes, the county roads, but US Homes put those partitions up.
And
It
then
had
when
nothing to do with the county. It had
Are
to
they
do
not
with
in the road?
residents here in Timber Oaks.
Are they not in the road?
No, they're not part of the road.
They are, if you.
They
look
are,
at
they're in the right of way.
They're in the right, if you look at the county map of what is owned by the county, all of Ponderosa, including the islands, is owned by the county. And once they took ownership, it's like if you buy a house, once you take ownership, you're responsible for everything in it.
But it's also our responsibility. Why did we put up all those little those cement things around those islands?
Ask that board.
We put those up.
We-
Now, whose are those? Why did we get to put those up?
I'd like to say that the county owns the right of way, correct? But they also own half my yard because, and I maintain my yard and I'm responsible for that. Because when I went to add on to my garage, see if I could put a 2-car garage on, the line where my property line is inside the sidewalk that goes by my house. So there was not enough room for the setback because of where the county line is. So we are responsible to maintain county property in that respect. But I would think, I can't believe that it costs us that much to trim some bushes in the right of way or in the islands. And I think that in our best interest, I would prefer that we just cut them. Trim the bushes so that we're not, every time I go by, since I have a truck, they hit the side of my truck, so I would hear in front of the clubhouse that we should trim that.
Ed, we need a motion for that.
Okay. I move that we trim the overgrown bushes in the island in front of the clubhouse.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Negative.
Okay. So how many?
Brenda was on myself. And
It's just Jim and I.
Donna said yes.
Okay.
Larry's holding his breath.
So the motion was passed to just trim the overhanging bushes and limbs that are right there. And then we'll have to get back with the county again.
Okay, can I?
Yes. Go ahead.
Also on here are drainage issues. Can you lightly touch on that, John? Let us know what that entails.
So across the street from the clubhouse is a basin, and in Timber Park, all of Driftwood basically drains through Timber Park. So both of those pieces of property that Timber Oaks require substantial and costly maintenance. So again, starting last spring, shortly after I started here, I started those conversations with the county because we own property that has one piece of a multifaceted drainage system for Pasco County. So my position is there's no maintenance agreement. We're not doing any maintenance to enhance your drainage facility. If you can't provide us a maintenance agreement, then we need to work towards something.
And Timber Park is the one off of Timber,
It's at that three-way intersection on the corner.
actually is it over in Driftwood? And my understanding is that when that floods, it also affects Driftwood?
Correct.
With flooding?
Substantially.
Okay, so I don't think most of you know this, and are you aware of where we're talking about? If you go out to the end of Ponderosa and make a right, it's right there. And that overflows, and that takes not only our drain water, it actually takes the majority of Pasco County drain water. That affects that and the one across the street. County should be maintaining it, and we're talking digging up large pipes or clearing them, because when that floods, it affects those in Driftwood. Plus also Timber Lane. So we're still in talks with them about that.
It's an A and B. Every time we have a conversation with them, it's about the islands and the drainage, and it kind of goes back to, we're not loud enough. We're not a squeaky enough wheel yet.
So what I'm asking is that you post a number outside the office, a county number, so that people can call in and make them responsible for their own properties. Can you do that? Thank you. And then we need you all and anyone watching on the internet, please call this number, because this has not gotten better. As everyone said, it's been 40 years and we're still fighting this. It needs to end, and it won't until they hear from everyone here.
Excuse me 1 minute, is it online today? Because I was just told that it's not online.
It looks like it is on the TV.
Darlene just told me it's not.
It was possibly not when we started, I wasn't able to connect to the system. but if
We're
it has
online.
anything to
It
do
is
with
now.
this,
I see
Okay,
five.
he doesn't know it. Okay.
5 people are on.
Okay, moving right along. Attorney review, the committee. Jen?
Ed, Donna, and I met and drafted this letter that's in your packet to go out to a number of attorneys to try and consolidate our legal issues. If there is no issue with this letter, as Debbie drafted for us, we'd like to see what responses we get from the board.
Need a motion?
I move that that we send the letter that the ad hoc committees created and mail it to various attorneys.
Have a second?
Second.
Is there any conversation about it? No? Okay, let's, Patty, you have something to say about it?
Tricia French Wisely, 13A06-7024. Who are the attorneys you're going to send it out to, and how did they get picked?
We're sending it to the 3 that we are currently using, and then we've picked our HOA special.
Can you tell us who they are?
I don't have the information with me right now. I gave it to Debbie. She has it in the office.
So if I go to the office afterwards, I can get that information?
I'll be glad to give it to you, Patty.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a vote, a motion on the table to be voted on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Patty, it was the 3 we use now, which would be Mr. Ranke, Nikki Rankin, Kate Bender, Rosen, and Carlos, help me, John, Carlos Rios. And then we also considered a 4th one, did we not? Robin Parker. We're hoping to get at least 3 or 4 to give us a proposition so we can continue with the narrowing it down.
Okay, pool furniture. Have an update.
John, you have an update on that for us?
So the furniture that was ordered, I guess, a couple months ago, we're expecting delivery and installation hopeful for next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you. All right, pool project, review of schedule and completion of the project. Jennifer,
I move that we continue with our scheduled pool project in January.
Second.
I'd like to address this.
okay, go ahead, Ed.
We're currently scheduled to shut the pool down for at least 3 weeks, and the bottom of the pool and all that. I feel that this is a poor time to do this, as it's colder. The snowbirds a lot of them come down after Christmas, and to have the pool closed at this time is inconvenient for a lot of people. I propose that we move it to May or June, when people can go to the beach when the pool is closed. January, it's too cold to go to the beach. And also in January, it's gonna take at least a week to warm that water back up after you take all the water out and refill it. So
I also feel this is a bad time. I mean, we were here all summer, and I realized the pool was closed a lot of times in the evening, but for the most part, the pool was used very rarely. I shouldn't, as compared to January. I also feel we have snowbirds that are here that pay $50 a month, the same as the rest of us, and they're only able to use it January, February, March, and April. In January, this is the only place to go. The pool is heated. If you try and go to the beach in January, you are not going to be able to get in the water. Plus, if it's cool, you don't want to go to the beach. So to close it in January, to me, seems to close it during one of the most used times of the year. And I don't think it's fair to our snowbirds or the rest. I use the pool year round. So most of the summer, even now, you have your private pool out there because there's very few that are in it. I think we also should move it to maybe mid-May on through June. In June, the water has warmed up enough to be able to use it. You can go to the beaches, it's plenty warm enough.
Thank you. Okay, Jerry.
Also say, I think that January is a bad time. I didn't realize that I was going to be a snowbird, but turned out that way this year. And I would really like to be able to come back and use the pool in January. So I would vote that we move it to the summertime.
Thank you, Brenda. Go ahead. Oh. Go ahead, Jerry. Sorry.
Gary Beers, 3326. One of the reasons I believe the time, if you want to Google it, June itself is the worst month for rain. Then it's followed by July and August. You can Google, you all have phones, and like I just said, and then, so that 3 weeks, because you want that pool emptied and dry, you're gonna be getting rainwater. And that pool is gonna last a lot longer than 3 weeks, you guys, with the way it rains in June and July. I've been here since 2012, not just 1 year or 2 years, year round, and it's miserable, and that pool will not be dry for your work that you want done. And again, I wish not to go through a whole summer again without uses of that pool at night too. Thank you.
Jerry, go ahead, John.
John Gadget, Timberlane Pool. The least amount of usage on that pool is the month of January and February. All the other times, and the highest months were, I believe, April, May, and June was the usage overall. Now, we have a lot of people are here full time, not just the snowbirds. Unfortunately, you have to close it sometime. But the lowest usage on that pool is January and February.
Thank you, John. Go ahead, Sue.
Besides the fact of the weather, which is a big influence on the process for the weather, the best time is the driest time because it's going to be a fiberglass coating. And that fiberglass, you can't put it on in the rain. The other is as a snowbird and someone who uses the pool even when it gets down to 40 degrees in the morning and will not have access to the 4 weeks, believe that it is the proper time to do it. Because if we do it in the summer, which won't affect me, but it will probably take much longer than it will now in January. I'm not, everything seems in Florida to take longer than projected. But in the summer, you have the weather working against you as well as contractors and everything.
The very top, it says scheduled for January 2022. So that was not part of the contract agreement. Also, in May, at the meeting on the 19th, it was moved to revisit this project after the installation of the pool and spa coping is completed in January 2022. That was in minutes at the next meeting.
Anybody else on the board have a question or comment?
Yeah, we all know that it's scheduled for January 2022. What we're asking is that it be postponed or looked at or talked to, in my opinion, more people.
Okay, we do have a motion on the floor, right? Okay, could you clarify that for us?
It was moved to continue the pool construction project scheduled for January of 2022.
Okay. All right. So, we need to vote. Debbie, can you do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have Donna Mosier, Ed Weiner,
No.
Susan Muniak,
Yes.
Brenda Owens,
No?
Lemay Knifen,
No.
Jennifer Smiley,
Yes.
Beverly Hasty.
Yes,
Motion passed.
motion passed. Okay. Okay, new business, the pool deck drainage. John, do you want to give us an update on that?
So we currently have a problem, and we've been getting some substantial downpour rains that produce a large volume of water on the pool deck. It's creating issues where water's coming under the back door to the pool area in the clubhouse, which forces us, when we have a bad forecast, to close the door and sandbag it. We're currently trying to get proposals to improve on the drainage in that area, and we do have one preliminary proposal that's in conjunction with the seawall. We're still trying to get more proposals.
With the other pool projects so that we would have limited closure.
It's not going to be the same
Not
contract.
the same
but yeah,
contractor, but same time period.
so you're hopeful that we're going to have a couple of proposals by then?
Yeah, I am.
Also, will that close the pool?
It'll only affect the corner. It will only affect these doors. It won't affect the operation of the pool.
So the pools remain open, hopefully while we take care of the drainage. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yellow Singer 14116. When they did the new pavers at the pool deck, they supposedly took care of the drainage problem. So they supposedly were going to take care of the drainage problem. Can we get our money back considering that they did not fix what they were supposed to fix? Or will they come back and do it at no cost?
It still floods under the awning, and actually that was normal. They said, oh, this will take care of it. We have a 3-inch drain that runs the whole length, but it's flooding out there the way it did before. It should have had a larger drain. Did we have any guarantee or from them that this was going to alleviate that problem? Sorry, John said no, we did not.
Moving right along. Clubhouse restroom.
Sorry, I forgot something about the drainage. So with
Okay.
regard to the contractor and the contract that they did do substantial more work than what was contracted originally in regard to the drainage and grading and stuff. So they did go above and beyond. We still have a problem, but they did more than they were asked to do.
Any other discussion? Okay, so the bathrooms, what I asked for in the clubhouse, excuse me. In the clubhouse restrooms was that, I don't know about you gentlemen, but in the women's restroom, there are all short, the regular commodes in there. None of them are the higher commodes. We're talking about one. Okay, so one in the handicap, I guess, is the one. What I propose is in here, but in the pool house, to the higher ones. And we're a 55 plus community and we're still using those lower toilets, so. The bathhouse you said are done? I very rarely use them, okay. All right.
They're already at the comfort height or chair height.
Comfort height, okay. So I would like to make a motion that we replace all commodes with the.
Do we have a second? We have some. Go ahead, Ann.
I proposed this, I believe it was in 2019 with the previous manager. I wanted to put it on the agenda and I was told that we could not install those higher commodes in the ladies' room due to the sewage. I didn't understand what it was from the clubhouse to the road or whatever, but at the higher height.
Actually, I think the problem is that when we buy a new commode, it has to be a special type because we need the extra pressure or whatever. So they're very expensive commodes. But the height of the commode is not the problem. It's the type of commode that we need.
We have to have one with probably a forceful flush or a full flush rather than the water saver. I would imagine that's the.
John, it's more than just.
It's an air bladder. I don't know the technical term, but they have air bladders in them and they're more expensive. The type of toilet that you want is probably double what you would buy in your home.
Go ahead.
So I just want to be sure I understand the motion. Is the motion to replace them, whether they need replaced? If they're working perfectly fine, but we just want to have a different type of toilet?
The motion, Brenda, was to have a higher commode rather than the regular ones, what they call a comfort or a chair level commode.
Right, but is the motion to replace them now?
Yes, to replace all of the lower ones.
Okay, I would support a motion to replace them as needed with a higher one. Not necessarily going in and replacing them if they're working fine now.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the.
Can we have John look into getting an estimate on the replacement for us to vote on at the next meeting?
Okay.
Would that be a proper?
Do I need to withdraw the motion? Okay, so I will withdraw the motion. We will instead have John check prices and look into this.
Facility security. John?
So at our last meeting, the board voted to leave the facility open 24 hours, which in turn we paused the ADP security service. I believe that contract expires late next year, and we're trying to set up a meeting with the ADT sales rep to discuss what our options are.
Okay.
Do you know, what is the cost for that contract?
I believe it's just over $500 a month.
And they were originally monitoring us from the time the pool or the clubhouse was closed till it opened in the morning. So now with it being open, we really don't need the security, but we will have it until the end of 23.
22, I believe is the current contract, expires, I think, December of 22.
Well, the cameras are ours, so we would still have the cameras.
We still have the cameras, just the monitoring, yes.
Right.
Right. Go ahead, Ed.
Question, John. Is there a penalty if we withdraw from the contract early?
I don't know. I don't know if we have an option to withdraw. I don't know if there's a penalty. I don't know if there's a buyout. That's what we were going to discuss those topics with, and board members are welcome to attend when we set up that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, I remember that we looked into that before, because we actually talked about maybe switching companies, because we found a cheaper one, and there is something about a buyout than when I was involved in on it. Me and John talked, but that was a salesman. I think it was half the cost or whatever it was, but there was at that one time a buyout.
Thank you. Hey, John, you're gonna look into that.
I added this to the agenda. I would like to see, it is my understanding that we can go in and maintain yards and other problems with, in my opinion, it should be the ones that are foreclosed. We cannot go in and take care of lawns that are in the process of being noted or letters are going out to, because that will stop our process. But once the houses are foreclosed on, I think we should go in and cut the lawns, whatever needs to be done. I know I would not like to live across the street or next door to some of these houses. And what were the houses we looked at? We looked at 3 houses on one street almost, and there's one house being taken care of in the middle of these.
These 3 houses were on Merrimack, and it's 8101, 8105, and 8115.
Thank you. Between 8105 and 8115 is a house with a resident who is taking care of their property. They sit in the middle of this mess, and it is a mess. You have trees growing out of the gutters. It is so overgrown. I don't know what all is living in there, and they've been this way for years. All 3 of those homes, I believe, are in foreclosure.
I don't remember the numbers. I know there were some on there.
I know at least 2. I'm not sure about the 3rd one. But my understanding is that we are able to send someone in, not our maintenance man. We need to get like a private contract that they go in and it is billed, and that goes into our foreclosure costs and will be billed to the house when it is sold or someone takes care of it. John?
So since 2007, banks have gotten smart. They don't typically, there's exceptions to the rule, but typically the foreclosure isn't final until they have a buyer. So when you hear that house is in foreclosure, we don't usually find out until the buyer that's buying it from the bank after foreclosure comes to the window.
I wasn't talking about foreclosure by a bank. We have filed foreclosure on homes.
We have filed foreclosure, but there are a couple that went to foreclosure that were purchased by someone else, but the others are still in the process. They're not totally foreclosed on. I don't know where in the.
I guess, not to interrupt you, Sue, but
That's all right.
we would, maybe clarification, like, are you suggesting once we start that process, once we hand it over to the attorney, or once that's finalized? There's a lot in between from start to finish.
I know the gentleman that does my yard charges me $12 each time he cuts it. If we have someone go in once a month and trim up and cut those yards, I don't think it's going to be a burden for Timber Oaks, but I think it's something that we owe our residents.
I think John's trying to clarify in what process of the foreclosure do you want to proceed with that? When we file foreclosure or when it's actually in foreclosure?
I think,
Is that correct, what you were? Once we say we're sending it to foreclosure, it's still a process before it actually is.
Right, so A or B, right? Either A, as soon as you hand it over to the attorney to start that process, or B, you wait till that process is concluded. Probably wouldn't do it anywhere in between. It's probably one or the other.
Donna, I make a motion then that we start it at the beginning when we first filed for the foreclosure.
Second. So question, some of the houses that we're filing for foreclosure have people living in it. Are we gonna mow their lawns for them?
as long as we're filing for foreclosure, I don't see where once a month is gonna break us, and it certainly, I don't care if someone's living in it or not, they are not keeping up with our regulations, and like I said, I don't think it's gonna break Timber Oaks, and as a resident, I wouldn't wanna live next to them. I don't know how else to do it. Are you suggesting that those that are occupied not be included?
I'm questioning, I'm not sure where or what. If we do it when they first get the foreclosure, then once they get the letter, the first letter, some have already taken care of it, have unforeclosed. You know, they've taken care of it. And some for the foreclosure is not fines for the grass. They're in foreclosure because they haven't paid their fees. We have, you know, this, yes, like your neighbor.
I have a house on my street that we've sent to foreclosure, and they still have their lawn mowed, and it looks presentable from the outside since the chickens are gone.
I do want to say, some of the houses that are in foreclosure, they're renters in there. Bank or whatever. So, and you have something?
When can we, add these fees? That, to me, that would be the main thing. When in the process can we take care of this yard and add the fees to the foreclosure fees that are involved? When we can add those fees, I think we should do it. If we can't add those fees, I think we should wait.
It's probably pending a conversation with the attorney. When it's turned over to the attorney in these collections matters, management, you know, we stop collecting payments and we back out of the collection process. So that will bring us back in, because we would now receive billing that we would probably, I would assume we would pass that off to the attorney to add to the total charges, but I don't know that for sure. But we would have to have that conversation. We would also have to have the conversation of, does the attorney want to add this line, like we're going to maintain your yard, into their foreclosure notices, or, so there'd be a little bit of conversation with the attorney to fine tune the details.
Gary?
Yeah, when I was on the board, and I believe Jennifer, Bev, and Sue, we met with that foreclosure attorney, and he went over different things. And he said that once the house was given to them, that we could have somebody from the outside come in and take care of those yards and build them. But I'm not sure, because I'm getting old and my memory's not that good. But maybe if you call that attorney back up, find out what the proper procedures is, it would save a lot of time. But I thought for sure, he said that once they went in, that we could take care of that maintenance. I'm just saying.
I think we need a legal clarity on that issue, when we can add it on and when we should, you know, start maintaining it, doing that. So we probably should table this until we get a legal opinion on that, until we get a hold of Macon and find out the process.
I don't think there's a question that you can't do this. It's just about fine tuning the details if you do want to do it.
Right.
So if you want to approve it today, you can approve it. And then we'll just work out the details about how to pay the invoices for the contract. We'd probably get 3 seasons to do it when he's in here doing us. And it's just a matter of with the attorney, do we send the billing to Resource to add to the account, or do we send it to them? It's not complicated.
Ellie, you have something?
Oh, yeah, we did it one time years ago. Again, I hate to keep saying years ago, but that's my experience. When we were committees, we did have a contingency fund to address abandoned homes. Whether we address foreclosure homes, I'm not quite sure. But I know we did have a special fund put aside in order to accommodate, neighbors that were living with the houses that were abandoned for quite a while. And it worked okay, and then the state statute said we couldn't go on other people's lawn. Then they changed it, and our documents do give us permission to do that now. So I think it's a good idea, and it's long overdue of being followed again. Thanks.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Am I coming through? Done.
Just so that everybody's clear again, we're talking about the limited number of homes that TOXA has started foreclosure process. There's a lot of homes out there that people throw the foreclosure word around that's not on this list.
Debbie, would you just clarify? Oh, wait a minute, Brenda wants to say something.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question about, is that part, would that maintenance be part of the, I guess what fund would that come from, the money come from, is my question.
Petty cash, no, I don't know.
Be billed directly to wherever for that house, is my guess.
Did you hear that, Brenda? This is, we're sending this to the attorney to find out exactly how this will happen and what we can do. But most likely Sue thinks it will be billed to the attorney to go on the foreclosure on that house.
Where we would pay it and then.
We would pay.
But I know Brenda's looking for a little more technical than that, and so the answer is yes, it would be billed to the homeowner, but there's an expense side of it. I don't think you currently have a budget line item for this expense.
It would probably go into maintenance.
It's general maintenance, but it's
General
not
maintenance.
allowed for, you don't have an allowance for this.
Debbie, would you clarify the motion, please?
Well, I just want to, John, can we have Dawn include in her motion about toxic documented foreclosure homes like you stated? I think it needs to be amended.
LeMay, was your motion?
No, Donna. made
Donna's
that
motion.
motion.
Donna?
So would you amend it to state that it's toxic documented foreclosed homes? Okay. So we're going to approve lawn maintenance of foreclosed homes prior to the foreclosure proceedings documented by toxic. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, John?
Just a little more clarity, maybe something like minimal monthly maintenance.
Okay, we're gonna add minimal monthly to the motion.
Do we need to add lawn? Or are we gonna?
I don't think we have to be specific.
What if the house has got a different issue?
What if the tree's falling down and it's a safety issue?
Yeah.
I think we just leave it the way it is.
I think it should just.
And it'll be done, I'm sure it'll be done on an individual basis. We're not just gonna go in and say, oh, all of them get their lawn cut.
Right.
I would probably just have a conversation with the owner of Three Seasons and explain what we're trying to do.
Right.
He does a lot of work, Joyce, he gets. He knows what you're trying to do.
Okay. Okay. Do we need a roll call vote or can we just, okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion passed. We did cover the fines and suspensions already, correct, Liz? When you did your report, that covered the fines and suspensions? Yes. Okay. All right, on to correspondence. The first thing that I have is 8620 Gold Pine Drive, which I believe is Ellie. requesting that the board consider having a yearly community garage sale this month, which is kind of too late at this point. We have to vote on whether we're going to actually do one. Go ahead.
I move that we schedule it in community garage sale again in March, as we previously have done in years.
Second.
Is there any conversation?
I do realize, oh, excuse me, are you finished?
Yeah, go ahead, Ellen.
I do realize after I wrote it that November would be probably not be able to be done, because I do notice with the so much new people coming and going, there's many garage sales. On Facebook, people have been complaining that their lawns are being overrun and sprinklers are being broken and stuff like that. But it didn't seem to happen with the community sale. I don't know a lot about sales, but the community sales were always a success. Individual garage sales have in an abundance now, with houses selling and going on and on. So probably March would be more practical to do that, as opposed to November, what with the holidays and everything going on. So if we just plan on that, and that worked out really good when Debbie in the office put out the signs and picked them up. I mean, right now, everybody's just scribbling garage sales, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be, and I do see in one of the booklets that I received that many communities do that, and it's always very successful, like we've done before.
Okay, let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next correspondence is from Darla Nolan, who I don't see is here. She wants to allow Maria Basila to sing with the Coraliers, as she does not own a home in here anymore. She's not a resident. My feeling on this is, if she wants to sing, she needs to sign a waiver. And I knew that was gonna be the platform or a microphone selling hitter, then that's a liability, and she wouldn't be covered because she doesn't live here. So that's my only feeling. Does anybody else have any, a second that?
Why wouldn't she be covered as a guest? I mean, we have guests come in.
But she's gonna be here for every practice. It would be like a one-time. Yes, Tom, how about your second on that motion?
She is a participant, not an observer. She's not a guest looking. She's actually taking the part as if she were living here.
Here's the microphone.
Sorry, Chris. I think she wouldn't be someone observing it. She wouldn't be a guest at a function. She would actually be participating in one of our functions, taking the risk at all, volunteering for our organization. So, I mean, I think that would be why a waiver, just like we had the waiver before.
But well, we still have it for all of the bands and whatever. Okay, I think Donna wanted something too.
Well, I was just gonna say, I second.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't see where the waiver is absolutely necessary. I mean, we have guests come in all the time and participate in our activities, who use the pool or who come down and join the exercise group or come to the dances. We don't make every guest that comes in to participate in something here sign a waiver. So I really don't think a waiver is necessary at this point.
Go ahead, Jerry.
I basically was going to say the same thing that May said, and also in karaoke, we have people that come in as guests and sing.
We're not.
And so are we going to make them sign waivers?
I didn't realize that people from out of the Okay. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter has come and participated in the Aqua Zumba, and she's never been asked to sign a waiver. And that's a sanctioned, approved, event as well. So are we, every time we have a guest come, that goes to a dance or
No, that's
whatever?
not, no, when at a dance, they're more, even though they dance, they're still like an observer, a guest. But in this case, she's going to be providing entertainment.
I see the difference.
That's the distinction between the two, I think.
It'd be like if your daughter was instructed. Yeah, it was,
Right.
we would
I
request
understand
that,
that.
rather than
Yeah.
part of the.
Right. But I kind of tend to agree with Lene.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Dale.
Dale Thompson had cheated drive, and I'm gonna get a lot of hell for this. I'm on the fence with this one. We've had a lot of people from here leave, and unfortunately, a lot of them passed away. My thing is, I feel bad for anybody that's lived here for a lot of years and participated in things and then to a dance, a +1 or something like that. I like Maria very much. Maria's been a big part of the Coral Ears since I've lived here. We have quite a few people that have been participating in things, and it would be the same with Kaleidoscope or the Murder Mystery if they were always in it and then all of a sudden they move. My question is, and I don't even know how to word this right because it's going to come out wrong, but if in a case where, from what I understand, some of the older people that recently moved were kind of like into moving or suggested to move by their families because they were worried about them as far as mental health, and you know what I'm trying to say. So if that's the case with where some people may not be themselves at the time, and we're having them come back and participate in something when their health isn't 100% anymore, to the point where their family had them go into a place where they're assisted, that's what kind of worries me.
There's a collection jar at Coral Ears, and you make the Aqua Zumba person sign a waiver because she has a collection jar. So Maria's in the same category. There's a collection jar there.
But Maria doesn't have the collection jar, does she?
It's the Coral Ears.
The Coral Ears that have them. Yeah. Has Lemay.
The only concern I set a precedent by doing this. The other end of it is that when Esther moved out, she came back as, we put her as like assistant director or something with Coral Ears so that she could participate. She was not allowed. I think the first time it was okayed and then no longer. So I love Maria. I don't really want to exclude her, but that is something we need to think about. And I also know as part of Kaleidoscope, they're going to ask.
Right. I wasn't going to discuss that at this meeting.
As part of Kaleidoscope, since it's a 20-year anniversary, we were going to ask that anyone who had participated in the past be allowed to join us this year because of the 20th anniversary. So I don't know if this will affect that as well.
It will. Heard something to that effect that she really wishes she could come. No, I don't know. She said, "Oh, I'm so sad I have to leave," and she's going to sell the costume and whatnot. But if you make the exception for one, are you going to make an exception for another one and another one and another one? So she's like a non-resident enjoying the privileges of before. So I hesitate to say anything because I'd certainly like to have her back because she is a good little performer.
In the letter that we got from it's her to help lead the sing-along portion of our concert. Go ahead.
The concerns that Lemay just expressed were mine when I first saw this letter. And it's hard to say no to someone like Marie, but sometimes it has to be done, because, and I would say that it would have been that Kaleidoscope too.
They could be invited back to watch. You know, that would be, but
So if we have them sign a waiver, it would be okay otherwise?
that's what I'm saying, if they were going to, because during Kaleidoscope, the rehearsals, the stage, you know, being on the stage at the rehearsals, and if they're an elderly, you know, older than us old people, they, you know, they could fall, they could trip, a microphone could top over and hit them. There's a lot of things that could happen. And I just think that that's the main reason we have vendors that come in and sign the waiver. Okay, Donna wants a second.
I would like to make the motion and that we have them, we allow them to come and perform like this as long as they agree to sign a waiver. Doesn't stop us from any liability.
Do I have a second to that motion? Okay. I don't know. Did we have a motion on the floor before, Debbie?
Yes, you
Oh.
made the motion, Donna seconded, so.
Okay, so that, Brenda, go ahead.
It's my opinion that if you're not a resident, you shouldn't be allowed to participate unless it's by invitation, and if so, then you should be considered a vendor and have to sign a waiver.
Thank you, Brenda.
Because they're not covered by the resident insurance. My next question is, I did not hear the motion. If it could be repeated, please.
It's been moved around. We will have Debbie repeat it.
Go ahead,
The motion is to allow a prior resident to participate in the Coraliers holiday concert with the signing of the TOXA waiver.
Okay.
I still did not hear.
Hold on. It was a motion to have.
To allow a prior resident.
To allow prior residents to participate in the Coraliers
Holiday concert.
With the signing of a waiver.
The TOXA waiver.
The TOXA waiver.
And we include Kaleidoscope in that too, so that we don't have to do it again?
Yeah, I agree. If we're going to change this, it should be changed unilaterally,
Yeah.
not just for one.
Yeah. John?
And to include all practices or functions leading up to the event.
Right. Okay, do we have, well, go ahead, Ron, and then we'll vote.
You know, I've been involved with Kaleidoscope for quite a few years, probably since 2005 or 6. And we always made a note that this was just, everyone was a resident. We did not have any outsiders. It was all residents performing, and I think they should continue that.
I think that what they want to do, because it's the 20th anniversary, correct me if I'm wrong, LeMay, is they want to invite people who were in the Kaleidoscope before they moved, when they lived here. Just, so that was what the thing was. Okay, so motion on the floor. Let's take a roll call. I got a dirty look, but that's okay.
Donna Moser.
Agree.
Ed Wayner.
Yes.
Susan Muniak.
No.
Brenda Owens.
Yeah.
LeMay Nyford. Motion carried.
Motion carried. Brenda.
Is there any more matters before the board? If not, I would like a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Open forum, Ian.
Oh, yes. I don't know if the board is aware, in 2018, New York State tried to get Spectrum, AKA Charter, phone Spectrum, out of the state for